finished with writing down the payment formula that you can use to find a monthly payment. Now we're going to do one comprehensive example where there's a lot of stuff going on. So let's just read through this. It's kind of got squeezed onto the bottom of this page. It really should be on the next one. But you got a $150,000 home. You want to avoid mortgage insurance. So you need a down payment of 20%. You also have agreed to pay 2 points at closing to get a smaller interest rate of 5.4%. Okay, so first, the down payment. Let's find out what that is. Down payment is 20%. So how do I find it? Good. And so what is that? How much? 30,000. Good. So right off the bat, you're handing over $30,000. Okay? So the amount of the mortgage then. Well, the house is $150,000. You've already put $30,000 down towards that price. So how much do we have to get the mortgage for? Right, the difference. So you need to get a loan for $120,000 to finish paying the house. Okay? 2 points. What was a point again? Very first day.
1% of the loan amount.
So 1 point is 1% of the loan amount. 2 points would just be 2%. I wrote it out as 2 times 0.01. Or you can just write 0.02. And so how much is that going to be? Okay. Cruising along. Find the monthly payment if you take out a 30-year loan. Why don't you guys do that on your own? I'll rewrite the formula the way it should be formatted. Take a minute, plug in the values that we have, and let's find our monthly payment. P is not the down payment. P is the amount of the starting value of the loan. Mm-hmm. What are we getting? Yes.
So whenever we're doing a problem like this, the n, like with like if the little n gets turned into a negative,
This one?
yeah, does that always get turned into a negative?
Yes. When you're working backwards to find the monthly payment, yes.
Is it 673.84?
That is correct. 673.84. Okay. Repeat the calculation now, and just change it so that now instead of 30 years, we do this for a 15-year loan. So the only thing that's going to change is what in this step? Yeah, instead of 30, it'll be 15. So this gets copied right down here. Going to be the same exact thing, but instead of 30, change that to 15. What do we get?
I got 974.
974.
0.14.
So remember, we always round up, right? Regardless of whether it's 0.141 or 0.145, we always round up. Okay. So, 30-year mortgage, we're paying $673.84. 15-year mortgage, we're paying $974.15. Which one would you guys rather do?
Probably the top one.
Okay, let's see if Jared made the right choice.
Sure, what do you do?
Part F. How much more per month are you paying for the 15-year loan versus the 30-year loan? Well, that's easy to do. We're paying $974.15 or $673.84. So what's that difference? Oh yeah, about 300. 331. Okay, so you are saving $300 a month if you go with the longer loan. But remember, you're also paying it for twice as long, right? So let's see what that looks like. So for 30 years, when we're asked how much interest is saved, we're going to go ahead and just look at the grand total. How much money are we putting out there? So for 30 years, we're doing $974.15. 30 years, 12 months a year, right? So what's that going to be? And now for 15 years, we're doing the $673.84, but that's for 15 years, 12 times a year. Okay, so let's get those totals. So how much total do we pay for the loan over 30 years?
It's supposed to be the flipped.
Oh, I totally did. Thank you. So this should be 15. This should be 30. Thank you. That's why I have the purple pen, to fix mistakes. Okay. 974.15 times 15 years. That was my bad. And then times 12 times a year. What is that going to be? Every time I just pick a random person, not prepared for class. Oh, man. Ted, what are you getting?
That is not right, Jim.
Not right.
Hold on, let me see. It was like,
He wants to be sentence notations.
yeah. That's what people do. No, wait, 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 wait.
And do you have it yet?
I got for 15 years, 175,347. 100. I feel like that's wrong.
175,347.
Yeah.
Okay. What about for the other one?
$350,582.4. Oh wait, wrong one. Sorry. 242,000. Yeah.
242,000.
582.4.
582.40. This was perfectly even.
Yeah.
And this one had 40 cents. Okay. Well, do you guys understand what these totals represent? Well, besides a lot of money.
Yes.
If you get a 15-year loan, even though you're paying $974.15 a month, you pay a total of $175,000 or so. Okay? If you get a longer loan, even though you're paying less a month, over the course of the entire loan, you're paying $242,000. Yeah, you were. But you know what? The reality is sometimes people can afford to pay $673.84 on a whatever salary, versus paying almost $1,000 a month. Even though you would have to pay more over the course of the entire loan, this might be more affordable in the short term. Does that make sense? So ideally, yeah, if you can get a shorter loan and pay a little more, it's better. But how much interest is the difference? Difference should be 67 something. $235.4. Okay. So you save $67,000 by paying $300 or so more a month, which is, that's a pretty significant chunk of change there. Okay. All right. Moving on. So the next two things that we have to do are loan amortization schedules and also credit cards. Let's talk about the loan schedules first. Okay. So when you're filling out a table, and by the way, when you guys sign all your paperwork and you get a mortgage, or even if it's a car loan, you'll get a table like this printed out that lists every single payment out of the 360 or the 60, however many payments there are. And it will show you how much of that payment is interest, how much of that is the principal, and then it shows you what the balance left is every single time you make a payment. Okay? Because what you guys have to understand is, for example, on the problem that we're doing, if your payment is $974 a month, then only a little portion of that reduces the amount of the loan that you have left. Okay? So it's not like you pay $1,000 and your balance goes down by $1,000. Your balance actually goes down very little until the very end of the loan. Okay, so let's take a look at what it looks like. So we're working with the 15-year loan. Okay, and here's how we're going to work this out. It's just going to be using I equals PRT to figure out how much is interest, and then we recalculate everything. So that's the basic idea. Okay, so first payment. Let's actually fill this out down here. The starting balance is $120,000. 5.4% was the annual percentage rate. We said the monthly payment was $974.15. And this is for 15 years and 0 months. So the number of monthly payments, that should be 12 times 15, which is 180. So 180 total payments. So what we're going to do is just do a little snapshot, just at the beginning of the loan, what it looks like, where your money's going, and what happens to the balance. Okay? So first payment. We pay $974, so $974.15. Okay? A portion of this is interest. We got to go up here now and figure that out. So for the first month, our principal is $120,000. Our interest rate is 0.054. That's for the whole year, though, right? And we're paying interest just on the first month. So the time is 1 month, which is 1 over 12 if I keep the units the same. Okay? Does that make sense so far? Type that in. You're going to start to see what's going on with your money and then get angry like me. What is that? 540. So that means of your $974.15 that you pay to Chase or whatever, $540 of that is going towards the interest on the loan, which then means that the rest of it goes to the principal. So let's find the difference. What's left over from our payment? $434.15. So that means that this balance, this $120,000, is going to get reduced by this amount. Not the $974.15, only by about $400. So let's figure out what that looks like. So what's the new balance going into month 2? Okay? That looks kind of terrifying, doesn't it? You've hard-earned money, and your balance goes down to this amount. Let's do another row. Payment number 2. Let's go to part B up here. We're still paying $974.15, right? But the interest payment is no longer calculated on $120,000 because the new balance is $119, whatever that is. So our new interest payment gets calculated by $119,565.85. That gets multiplied the same way by the annual percentage rate times 1 month, so that's 1 over 12. And what is that going to be? And 5? Yeah, we'll round up. So 538.05. So now the interest goes down ever so slightly, which means that you're going to pay ever so slightly more towards the actual balance of the loan. What's left over that can be applied to the balance? Awesome. So after 1 month, the next month, you're paying $2 more of your loan down. And so now what's the new balance? So we got to take $119,565.85, subtract the new principal payment, and we're still at $119,000. Okay. Do you guys understand how to fill out a table like this? I don't. Do I have to do payment number 3, or do we see what's going on here? Okay. So over the course of the loan, what's happening to the amount of payment that goes towards interest? It decreases a little bit. So by the time we get to payment number 180, we're probably going to be near $0 for interest and paying mostly principal at that point. Does that make sense? Okay. So this is also a good time to just talk about what we discussed on Friday. Are you forced to only pay this much, $974.15? No. So at any given month, if you have extra cash, maybe you play the lottery and you won an extra $5, whatever, or you worked overtime and you have some money to spare, you can put more money instead of $974.15. You're still going to pay the same interest amount, but now this principal, if you have an extra $500, you put that right in there, and now this goes down a lot more. And so now when you calculate the interest the next time over, that's a little bit smaller even than if it were just the minimum payment. Does that make sense? I mean, this stuff's pretty involved, but it's good to know. Yes?
I have a question. So if you did that, so you did that on a regular basis, could you one time or pay so much money that the loan is so barely anything?
Yes. And so a lot of times people pay off their mortgages early. You know, even if you have a 30-year loan or a 15-year loan, if you keep putting more and more down towards the principal, this balance goes down and you end up paying less interest. And then what ends up happening is every month they'll say, hey, if you want to pay this off in 2 months, here's how much we need a check for. And then you're done.
So there's no limit on how much you can put.
Exactly, yeah.
Into that.
Sure. Any other questions? Okay. Let's go ahead and do, why don't you guys start working through example 5? So take a few minutes and work through that one real quick. This is probably a little bit more closer to you guys because you'll probably be getting some cars here in the next few years. Probably before you buy a house, right? So read the example. We want to know what's our monthly payment and how much total interest are we going to pay for the entire duration of the loan.
I'm very confused how you're running this.
We're just taking, so we started with 120,000.
Yeah.
We figured out this is how much the principal's going to go down by. So we just subtracted. And we got that. Then that value gets used all over again to find the new amount of interest paid, which was that.
Okay, so we start with this.
Yep.
Right?
And then that gets down to that.
Minus this.
Yes, to get that.
I'll get that. Good.
And then you just keep, so now you take this amount, multiply by 0.054 times 1 over, put that down there for the interest, subtract. This is now what you subtract from here to get that.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm just going to write the setup, and then you guys can tell me what the answer should be here in a moment. How many years was this for?
3.
Thank you.
I got a 459, but for the first one, 459.74.
Thank you. That sounds good.
And the second one, I got 100.
For the second one,
Yeah.
okay. Is everybody getting this for the first part?
Yeah.
$15,000, 6.5%, 12 payments a year. We're doing this for 3 years. Plug everything in. You should get $459.74. Okay. Now, they want us to figure out the total interest paid. Well, if we take $459.74 and multiply that with 36, because then we're making 36 payments of that amount, what do we get?
$16,550.64.
So this is how much we're paying on a how big was the loan? 15 grand. So subtract, and we get the final difference of 1,550.64. So over a course of 3 years, you're paying about $1,500 extra for the loan. Okay? Now, I'm only going to show you this once. So if you have a TI-84, possibly an 83, some of you that borrow the calculators that are 82s, you won't be able to do this. Okay? Or 81s, yeah. They're 81s? Okay. So your calculator has the ability to figure all this stuff out for you really, really fast. Okay, here's how you do this. So if you go to the applications button, which is right next to the math button, you guys see that? Do the 83, anybody have an 83? All of you have 84s, or you borrowed ones that were 81s? Okay, so press the apps button. It only has about 31 more drops before it completely dies. Very first option, do you guys see this? Finance?
Yes.
Okay, press enter.
Wait, where'd you get that?
Oh my gosh.
It's next to the
Applications.
Yeah, I can't read.
Okay, I'm going to start over, and you need to listen. I'm not going to repeat any of this. You guys understand? Everyone locked in here.
Yeah,
If you're one of the few that ignore lectures and listen to music, right now is a good time to take those out. If you're distracted with your phone or your iPad, now's a good time to pay attention because you're going to want to know how to do this. Okay? Once again, you press the applications button right next to the math button. Basically where my finger is on the screen. You press that. First option is finance. Hit enter. Takes you here. Very first option, TVM Solver. That's where we want to be. And now you see a bunch of stuff here, right? Some of you might have all zeros. So here's how this is going to work. Okay? Listen carefully. N represents the total number of payments. So for this car problem, it was a 3-year loan, 12 times a year. So 36. You guys see how that works? Okay? The interest rate was 6.5%, so change it to 6.5. The principal value of the loan was $15,000. You guys understand what all these letters mean so far?
Yeah.
Okay? payments. Don't do anything because we want the calculator to figure that out for us. Does that make sense? Skip it. Leave it as 0. I have a 3 there, but you'll leave it as 0. Future value. We want this loan to have a 0 balance when we're done paying it off. Does that make sense so far? This is the number of payments per year, which is going to be 12. And this is the number of times per year that we're compounding the interest. These will always be 12, you guys, for us. Okay? Now, here's how you figure out the payment on your calculator. Go up to the payment row. You guys have 0 or something else, right? Press alpha, and then enter. And it just told you the negative means that you need to pay out of pocket $459.74 every month. Do you guys see how that worked? Do the next problem. It should take you like 30 seconds now, even less, right? B. If you take out a 6-year loan at 8%, what's the monthly payment going to be?
72.
Hey, let's do it on the TVM Solver now. Right, because it's written as a percent in the formula. What should N be?
72.
Hey, you know what else? If you don't know, you can just say, well, N is going to be 12 payments a year times 6. And then it will automatically do it for you. Okay? What was the new interest rate?
8%.
8. Still, we're working on that $15,000 loan. I'm leaving the payment alone for now. Future value is good. We want it to be, everything's good. So, whatever I want to calculate, you press alpha. Do you guys know why we're pressing alpha enter? What does it say?
Solve.
Yeah, so it's solving for the payment. Does that make sense, you guys? 263. So, you guys, when you are doing your project, the reason I'm showing you this, when you guys are doing your project, you're going to be asked a bunch of questions about loans, monthly payments, and all that stuff. You can use the TVM Solver, because there's probably like 15 little questions built in there to do this. Does that make sense? You don't have to do all of them by hand. If you're one of the few that does not have an 84, you can probably work with someone and just borrow it for when you're doing your portion. Okay?
Do we have to show our work?
There's going to be problems that'll ask you to show the formula, and then others where you can just use TVM Solver. Okay? And I guess we haven't finished it. So $263 a month times how many payments? 72. So that should be $18,936. Right? So how much is interest? 3,936, almost 4,000. Do you guys see how significant this is? Okay? This is why sometimes people get themselves into trouble. Okay? They go to the car dealership and they're trying to, throw some things at you. And they're like, okay, well, what about this offer? What if we paid off in 6 years with this rate, and then they show you this? Would you rather pay this amount or that amount? And of course, there's going to be people that don't know how this works. They're like, oh, 263, that's much better. I can afford that. And maybe they could afford the 459. Okay? But if you take a look, right, this is almost $4,000 in interest you're paying versus $1,500. I mean, it's an extra $2,500. Okay, that's a lot of money. Okay, we're going to stop here. We have one more thing to do in this section,